All right, so we're live. Get the old headphones here. Welcome back to another episode of Real World Truth Matters. This is officially episode 20. I have more than 20 videos, and I have a bunch of shorts if anybody ever wants to check those out. But I'm just going to get the reminder out of the way here. I appreciate everybody that watches my videos, comments on my videos, likes my videos, shares my videos. The videos are the main thing. Uh, the shorts don't count towards watch hours. I don't know if people are aware of how YouTube works and all that, but once I get to 500 subscribers, I do have a phone number I am going to give out and do call-ins, live call-ins with people who are watching my videos live, so we can communicate while you're on camera, right? Be able to have some fun with that. Got a new sticker here. Hey, right? This one might be I don't know, it's hanging on there right now, but who knows? Couple new things I wanted to point out first is I got the tactic clock. It's the tactic clock shirt. I do not drink Black Rifle coffee, but I don't really drink coffee anyway. If you watch the episode, I talk about my fiance making coffee. She makes it so potent. It's just, yeah, can't do that. But I do Rockstar. No, it's not a paid ad, YouTube. And my chair. I got a new chair. A little more comfortable and all that. And the fiance got a few flags today, so I decided I'd throw a new one up right there for you. How about that? So we got a lot of topics to cover. Well, it's not a lot of topics. It's actually only like 6 topics, 5 of them. And then the sixth is, I don't know. But what we're going to do is start in order. Illinois, uh, lots of problems going on there. Chicago PD and stuff. So I'm just going to I wrote down some notes. I know it's not very professional, but I wrote down some notes here, and so we're going to go back to October 9th. Or no, we're going to go back to the 4th, I think. I think it was the 4th. But how's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're doing great. So it is the 4th, October 4th. Chicago federal agents being assaulted. Don't mind me if I flip flop a little bit here and there on this episode. This one's going to be a little wild one. But federal agents being assaulted. Car was being followed on purpose. These people knew that there were agents in the vehicle, unmarked vehicle, right? ICE agents. And they rammed the ICE agent vehicle on the roadway. Do these people not work? Like, what do? They just drive around waiting to see ICE agents and then accost them? Like, do they realize how serious that is? It's federal prison. I said it in my last episode, my last live. It's federal prison. They're federal crimes. They're looking at federal time. Is it really worth it? That's not protesting. Rear-ending a vehicle is not protesting. For the love of the Lord again. Which the rear-ending of the vehicle then led to a protest. And Antifa, go figure that, joined in. It's USA, United States of America versus Miramar Martinez and Anthony Ian Santos Ruiz. The CN number is 25 CR. U.S. District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division, October 4th. And this is what's funny about it. If you can find anything funny about it, I guess this is the humor in it. It's in Broadview, Illinois. Now, it's a broad view, all right. Let me tell you. But there's that, and then a little bit more on this, because this goes deeper. So here's where the problem comes in. Okay, this is where we got problems. Do you like the new camera angle? Is it better angled like that or not? Leave a comment below or in the chat here. If you're rewatching it, leave a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of the angle. What do you think of the new setup and stuff? You know? How about that? Hmm? So here's a rundown. I actually saw the screenshot of this. I was going to do a screen share, but I wasn't able to download it to share it, and my whole the program I'm trying to use to broadcast through YouTube and Patreon and Locals and X and Rumble all at the same time is not cooperating, to say the least. So I can't share the actual photo, but it's I'm just gonna read it as it was written, right? So call address, it's abbreviated, but it was 3929-3999 S Kenzie Ave District dash 009 Surbeat 921 04 October 25 12:36:47. Now this is in their call log, so the computer the officers are looking at, right, in their vehicles. D541734 PD42 OEMC Hampton and NFYD. Please dash Chief of Patrol. No units will respond to this as related from. Now before that, the post before that was 04 October 25 at 12:28. Remember, the last one was 12:37 or 36 p.m. This is 12:28, so we're going backwards, right? C558500 PD 517 C-S. Caller is one of approximately 30 armed Border Patrol agents, ICE, who are being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. And then they were told to stand down. I'm going to read this. Chicago Police Crowd Response Dispatch. And I read it verbatim. I'm going to read it verbatim. What was stated verbatim over the air. It's recorded. This is all public knowledge. I'm not giving up any kind of critical anything. The dispatcher stated, quote, all right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th place and Kenzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd and they were requesting the police, we're not sending, end quote. Quote, I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th place and Kenzie. End quote. A dispatcher just decides to do that? Well, who told them to? That's the question. I'm getting to that. Here's a surprise here. No. CPD response to Fox News was, quote, to clarify, misinformation currently circulating. CPD officers did in fact respond to the shooting scene because it ended up into a shooting. Okay. CPD did in fact respond to the shooting scene involving federal authorities on Saturday to maintain public safety and traffic control. That's what they did. End quote from him, by the way. And then I put really traffic control, you know. Pritzker, I'm going to pick on you today. You need replaced. Sorry. He says if it's, quote, unsafe, quote, for ICE, they need to just get out of Chicago. What kind of statement is that? Yeah, you're going to tell federal agents if they feel unsafe, then they just need to leave Chicago. Sounds like Chicago has a little problem. It's called harboring fugitives. You know, that's illegal. And I would imagine the feds, if they wanted to, they could probably make a little phone call to Pam Bondi. Pritzker might go to jail. Why? He's aiding and abetting. Technically. Don't care if you're mayor or not. So there's the morality in that, right? So he's supporting riots, basically. And the assaults on feds in his city. And here's the kicker. Here's the big kicker. Well, Chicago police rebelled and defied Brandon Johnson's orders. And some of the officers stated and claimed them to be illegal orders. Why? Again, serve and protect constitutional rights. Okay? So if federal agents need help and are requesting help from a 911 dispatch, you should probably send the help. Stupid. Sickening. So number 2, and that's where I'm jumping around a little bit because I probably shouldn't have done number 2 this, but I am. So Pennsylvania State Police, I thank every one of you, men and women, who puts on the uniform, the whole way across the country, actually. You know, from local police to sheriffs to federal agents to ICE to you name it, right? Did I say sheriffs? Pennsylvania State Police, 2 PSP officers were shot on 10/8/25 in Franklin County. They're just injured. They are alive. They are doing well. My prayers go to their family and to them that I'm sure they'll carry on their job, right? Once they're healed up. They were in a vehicle pursuit. Guy refused to pull over. Imagine that. He had himself and 2 female accomplices were in the car. The females complied with the officer's orders, and I don't have exact and full details on this, so I'm not going to go too in depth because I don't want to give any misinformation whatsoever. That's why my podcast is called Real World Truth Matters, because the truth does matter, and so do facts. But The male did not comply, and he shot both the officers. And they unalived him in return. You know, tit for tat. Well, like I said, what was it that I was talking about? Oh, yeah. The guy who broke into the ex-girlfriend's house, the stalking one on my last episode, his last actions weren't exactly godly. You have to answer for that. I don't know what he's going to say to Jesus Christ, but I don't think there's a very good excuse you can come up with. So, Lord, be with the officers, be with all the Pennsylvania State Police officers, and strengthen them, and let them know that there are people out there who do support them and their families and their other colleagues and the dispatchers and everybody who's involved in that. So that was number 2. Number 3 is Section 10. Do you know what Section 10 is? Here we're going political now, right? We're talking about Trump. Anybody that watches this and gets to this point, they're going to, if they're a Democrat, they're going to start pulling their hair out and their teeth and all kinds of stuff and dyeing their hair purple and pink and rainbow, whatever. Section 10 is Trump's legal use for the Insurrection Act, by the way. Okay. And just so you know, I'm going to give a little bit of U.S. history here because people apparently don't know what history is or how to look it up or anything. Because if you knew the history, then it would make a lot more sense to you. So I'm going to help you out on this one. Okay. I'm going to give you a freebie. Here we go. So Trump used the Insurrection Act to send people to Portland, Oregon, right? Reserves and Marines. So the historical uses in America, okay, date the whole way back to 1920. It was the largest uprising since the Civil War. The Army was deployed in 1920. In 1957, Eisenhower deployed the 101st Airborne. In 1992, under the Insurrection Act, Bush Sr. Over the Rodney King riots, which was a shame, but deployed them to California, and 63 people ended up dying in that. Okay? Unaliving. Sorry, YouTube. Unaliving. 63. In 2020, the feds and the CIA in Trump's first term, the CIU, and then 2024, Biden, not the auto pen. I hope it wasn't the auto pen that signed it, but he used it. Biden went after the Proud Boys, and many got 10 to 18 years, which Trump pardoned most of those people. And then 2025, Donald Trump just deployed them to Portland, Oregon after Antifa, because Antifa is a terrorist organization. That's where we're going, right? So that's in Chicago. So now they're in Chicago and Portland over BLM, Antifa, lots of arrests, but charges were dropped because of corrupt judges. And as we know, and have found out in recent weeks that the Biden DOJ was highly corrupt. Comey, Comey hair straight, you know. Uh, the takeaway is it's a thin line to walk, because when we have the next Democrat president, right, the same will be used against Republicans. That's a fact and a promise, because, well, Biden did it in 2024. See, Trump did it in 2020. Biden did it in 2024 against Proud Boys, and Trump's doing it again in Portland and Chicago, and it's just gonna circle, right? Just, so that's what happens there. You don't know. So NATO response. If anybody hasn't been watching, I don't know why there's Republicans out there that feel like Putin is a good guy. First off, he's a dictator. How I can prove he's a dictator? Just read the Russian Constitution for yourself. It literally states that no president shall exceed 2 consecutive terms. I believe their terms are 4 years. So he would be president for 8 years, and that's it. Here's the problem. He's been the president and remains the president. There was no standing down. All his opponents, somehow miraculously fell out of the 13th story window and thought that they could fly. I wonder who made that happen. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. But he has been pushing boundaries, because he has been flying planes armed with nuclear weapons. Literally. And how do we know? Because the Geiger counters and stuff in our F-16s, F-35s, you name it, right? CENTCOM, NORCOM, all of them, right, are detecting nuclear energy. Well, we have subs, and they have a lot of big bada booms in them. So big that we would have a nuclear winter if just our country used them. But they have been invading airspace, pushing the boundary on the international to American airspace around Alaska for at least the past 2 to 3 weeks. And they continue to do so. But now, NATO jets are scrambled to take out Russian jets. You heard me correct. NATO jets are scrambled to take out Russian jets. NATO is done playing. Russia is invading NATO airspace. There's no doubt about it. None. Zero doubt. Estonia, Poland, Romania, all areas Russian Migs have flown into their territories. And here's the real kicker. The EU Parliament calls for the readiness to down Russian aircraft. October 9th. I know I'm a couple days behind here, but I promised my viewers and the people who are supportive of me that I would do at least one video a week. So that's why we're doing this video. And then, okay, so I covered that part. What I wanted to pull up was a couple screenshots I took here and just read some stuff as my phone's blowing up. Yeah, I know. Okay, so It's all about the rioting and oh, get ICE out. If ICE is scared, then they should just leave Chicago. ICE ain't scared. They're just being overrun. They just needed more manpower. That was all. A lot of the vehicles are being damaged and stuff. Like these riots are ridiculous. I mean, like look at this stuff. You see that? Look at all them people lined up against the police. What is happening? It's just nonsense. Like, get a grip. Maybe go home, spend some time with your family or something rather than protesting. And then the cartels are being wiped out. Who knows if, here it is. Venezuela, is finished. Like, are we really going to totally annihilate Venezuela because it's an illegitimate president in Venezuela, by the way? Probably have a hit out on my head because I said that. And I don't really care what he thinks. But so Vladimir Putin's increasing provocative actions, including by deploying armed drones along the border with Russia and easing restrictions on pilots to allow them to open fire on Russian aircraft. Mm. The talks are aimed at raising the cost for Moscow of its hybrid warfare. Hybrid warfare is quoted. And lay out clear countermeasures after a spat of airspace violations by Russian drones and jets, according to 4 NATO officials briefed on the talks. Frontline states bordering Russia, backed by France and the UK, have initiated the discussion, which I just mentioned to you, which have since broadened to a larger group in the 32 strong alliance. 32 nations. Proposals include arming surveillance drones used to collect intelligence on Russian military activities and lowering the bar for pilots patrolling the eastern border to take down Russian threats. Another option is to conduct NATO military exercises on the border with Russia. Wonder how Putin would like that, especially in more remote and unguarded parts of the frontier. Because when NATO was first formed, Putin was losing his mind and was like, oh, they're about to attack us. Well, guess what? We never attacked. Never planned on it. He knew right from the gate. He was just trying to rile up people and try to look he-man and this, that, and another thing to his countrymen because he's a dictator and then, they just follow along or else they're sent to a gulag. But Donald Trump last month said NATO should open fire on Russian aircrafts that breach Allied territory. And I agree. The U.S. president's remarks come after a flurry of Russian provocations, including the first direct confrontation between NATO planes and Russian drones since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Here, I'll repeat that. Okay, are you ready? I'm going to repeat it. The U.S. president's remarks came after the flurry of Russian provocations, including the first direct confrontation between NATO planes and Russian drones since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. It was February 24th, 2022, people. Ukraine didn't ask to be invaded. In addition to that, encountered in Polish airspace, Russian drones have also veered into Romanian territory, and MiG fighter jets crossed into Estonia airspace. He's testing the limits of what he can get away with. You know how much I say we let him get away with? An inch. You go an inch over. Downed aircraft. 1 inch. That's all it takes. Magic number. And then I'm going to read this post from Facebook. This is off topic a little bit, but it's quote, I'm posting again. The person who made the post made her page private, so it went away until the authorities say they got him. I'm sharing again. Locals beware, pay attention to your surroundings. And this is here in Pennsylvania, by the way. Attention, keep alert, watch your kids especially. There have been fugitives spotted in a small town, won't say that name, with one taken into custody. The other one is hiding next to my house. Somebody posted. ICE recently raided an MS-13 safe house in State College, Pennsylvania. So there are gang members on the run. Well, let me tell you a little something about that real quick. I'm an avid archery hunter. If you didn't see, I had Glenn up here, my famous YouTube buck, right? I had Glenn up here. And guess what season it is? I'm not out hunting because I feel that in the area I'm hunting is public land, and they have the right to do so. But I believe they're putting too much pressure on the animals, right? And so I decided not to hunt tonight and do this live cast or live broadcast, whatever you call it, right? This thing, whatever we're doing here. I don't know what to call it. It's informative. And the last topic is the federal marshals. So here's something else historically that a lot of people don't know or aren't aware of. The U.S. federal marshals are the oldest police organization. It was founded by George Washington. Do you ever hear that name before? Maybe. Maybe you've heard of George Washington. He was kind of a famous guy. In 1789, the U.S. Federal Marshals Organization was formed. 1789, Wild West days. Rootin', shooting, 6-shooters, horseback. And ever since then, they have always been getting dangerous criminals. Point blank, period. They go after the worst of the worst. You remember the old TV show, America's Most Wanted? Most of the times it was the U.S. Marshals that went after them. I don't fly personally, unless I have a parachute strapped to my back. But if you fly, you may have been on an airplane with a U.S. Marshal and somebody handcuffed. Why? Because they're put on the plane before everybody else, sat in the seat, made sure they're secure. Then everybody else gets to board the plane. Right? And then I'm not sure because I don't fly, but I believe they're taken off first. Or they wait for everybody else and then they take them off. I don't know. I guess it would depend who it is and their charges and all that. But ain't that pretty interesting? So the oldest police force literally was formed in America. The oldest police force in America, 1789. So write that down. So the last part of this, because we're 34 minutes, almost 35 minutes in, is just me wanting to cover a few things. I mean, more in depth, I guess. Antifa and MS-13 and all them need to just pack your bags. Okay, if you hate our country so bad, sincerely, I'm being sincere. If you hate our country so bad, your freedom of speech, your freedom of movement, your freedom to religious, your freedoms to bear weapons, all the freedoms we have in our country that other countries would absolutely love to have. If you're not proud of this flag or this constitution, I'll buy you suitcases if it's absolutely necessary. Right? You can go anywhere you want. I saw this little video clip right before I did my live. It's this guy that is advocating for the LGBTQ community, hashtag SDUV to the third power. And he's protesting that it's a Palestinian flag mixed with the LGBTQ flag. Yeah, get that one. Do they not realize? But I'll just tell you what he said. I'm not saying it. He said it. So Muslims that are watching, I'm not trying to offend you. You need to wake up, but I'm not here trying to offend you. This man in this video literally said it's an LGBTQ flag that's the Palestinian design, and they made it, rainbow and the Palestinian flag. And he said that Muhammad was, in fact, a trans woman, wasn't a man. I can tell you right now, you send that man to Gaza or Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, anywhere, even in America, a moral, straight Muslim, right, would probably not hesitate to hurt that man, saying that, Muhammad was a trans woman. Muslims don't take kindly to that kind of talk. Okay, they don't take kindly to any kind of talk, even bless you. They don't take kindly to it. So I could only imagine what their response would be to something as stupid as that statement. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, there's no brain there. He's been seared with a hot iron. He doesn't have any common sense. They think they're doing it, for this cause or that cause or whatever. Did anybody see I'd love to see comments on the video after this about, the whole boating entourage that was trying to go into Gaza, right? They were trying to land, but they had no dock to unload the food, parcels and stuff. The Israeli Defense Force, the Navy, intercepted those boats, right, for their own safety. I mean, Hamas in Gaza definitely would have killed them. Most of the Palestinian people, if there was a guy on there saying that, Muhammad was actually a trans woman and stuff, he's going to die too. He's going to be unalived immediately. Okay. The IDF intercepted their little flotilla they had going there for their own safety. Okay, so they, that's how I see it, and I believe that's factual. But they didn't let them float on into Gaza, and the whole thing is they didn't have really that much food. I mean, if they wanted, they spent millions and millions of dollars in fuel and this, that, and another thing, and food for themselves and stuff to travel halfway around the world on boats, but they could have just donated it and then really helped the Palestinian people, the innocent Palestinian people, because there are innocent Palestinians in Gaza who are kind of held captive right now by Hamas. It's not Israel, it's Hamas. I mean, There's videos out there, you can see them. Hamas literally pew-pews into a crowd just because they're trying to get food from a Hamas-held warehouse full of food. They just unalive them. And then I saw a group of men, I believe there were between 8 and 11 of them, that were tied up together with rope, and they were being led to the unaliving. They do it proudly. And that was in Gaza. Because they found out that they were helping the IDF or taking food from the IDF or anything. Any reason they can find. I don't know. But that is the podcast for today. Again, I want to show off my new shed. Look at just look at it. Just look at how gorgeous that is. It's just absolutely spectacular. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a tactical. So thank you for watching. Again, please help me out. Hit that button. Hit the bell if you want to be notified every time I go live or put a post up or whatever. I do communicate. So as you can see, you check any of my other videos, everybody that comments, I comment back, guaranteed. Okay. Till it gets out of control where I just have so many that I can't keep up or whatever. My email is RWTM-VLOG@gmail.com. Feel free to message me there, contact, and get me up to 500 subscribers here. And then we'll get the little telephone going. How about that? Then you guys can talk to me live, ask me questions, my views, whatever. I'm open to debate, just as Charlie Kirk was. And remember to give God all the glory and stay humble and love your neighbor as yourself. And with that being